So here was my porch floor. Now, it is extra dirty because I had some crap sitting on it. And I think at this point, it looks like there's some extra sawdust or something. I don't know what I was... Was I already cutting some stuff? I think I'd already been cutting something on here. Anyway, it was dirty. It was dirty, but also it was in bad shape. So the old grayish, our house was like red like red trim with like this grayish blue. It was the way it was when we got here, and it was painted many years ago. So it was just rough. A lot of the railings were kind of a little flimsy. This railing here was kind of shaky. But the floor was developing at least 2 areas with holes. So this upper side had pretty much rotted through, paint's chipping. All the tongue and groove was rotting out around each of these pillars. So yeah, you can see the bottom of some of these pillars. They don't have the trim anymore. It's just rotting, and falling apart. Paint was chipping. Here's the inside of that same corner. So it's just rotting through. Holes, more holes. Right? And it was a little punky when we first moved in, but it had definitely started to develop holes. Now this lower side was really bad. This side, yeah, it was falling off. So it was bad. There's the damage. It was not good. So what happens is all 3 of those pillars sit on top of floorboards. Sit on top of the tongue and groove. So the tongue and groove was rotting out. Therefore, the bottom of the pillars were sort of rotting out. And it was just all rotting. You could just see the crunchiness that was happening there. All the trim was falling off. It was bad shape. Bad. Yeah, all of these bases were going out. All the tongue and groove was rotting. And there was one of the worst ones. This end one was probably the worst. So you could just see it all sinking in. Not a good thing, right? Eventually your porch goes boop. And that's a bad deal. And the upper part of the porch, anything above, a couple feet above this, was great. Great condition, just over time. It gets really bad. It's very dangerous. At this point, like, you give it another 3 years, it would be really dangerous. This right now, I wouldn't call it in danger of falling right now, but it was certainly heading in a very bad direction. And this probably just wouldn't have failed at this point, but it was, give it another couple years, and it was clearly heading in the wrong direction. So yes, so that was the deal. You guys remember I did a video about digging out this whole room under this porch, and that was like the first step of me working on my garage. So if you want to look on YouTube, you can see that video. But yeah, I dug a bunch of dirt out of here, and so under here, I didn't want stuff getting wet. I had lumber stored under here, whatever else. So I was like, all right, it's time. We got to do something about it. So yeah, there's the damage. Bunch of damage. Well, they could if I didn't have a bunch of lumber in there. Yeah, and that's right, Rosie. It was certainly not going to get better on its own. That's right. But yeah, if I had space in there, bikes could fit in there. And maybe that's what I do. Maybe I just reorganize it and then I can fit bikes in there. That's actually probably not a bad idea. I can try. So there was a lot of things going on. There's things like, oh man, just the cement block there are just, it's rough. There is just a variety of windows and trim and everything that's just bad. Like almost every one of those windows are old, and some of the window, a lot of the window like trims were rotting, going bad. Yeah, our seasonal trim. Yep. This is the house. So Yeah, it's just everything was just like anything that was like trim or wood or it hadn't been painted or taken care of in a long time. And the siding is aluminum. It's actually in great shape. It's still really solid. Other than those box gutters up there, which we had just had a company come in and at least seal them because they were leaking down the side of the gutter or side of the siding, and that was bad. So we had them sealed up at least to kind of, because when you change them, you kind of need to change your shingles at the same time. But the shingles are fine, so we want to get a little more time out of it. So that's the house, and wood is rotting. Things are going bad. We need to fix it. So I'm not sure which of my. Let's see here. Where do I want to start? I guess either one doesn't matter because I think they're both kind of about the same. All right, so I got some of the tongue. So I bought a bunch of tongue and groove. See the OG bay window? Yes, you will actually later. I'll show it to you painted. Yeah, you can see it here. I guess it's a little closer, but yeah, that's it. It's cool. We keep it covered a lot because it goes, it's like a house right across the street. But if I have my way inside the house, eventually, if I can get some stuff done, I'd like to put some blinds up and get rid of those old curtains and do it up proper. So all on ground level. Oh, really? Oh, nice. Yeah. Cool. Okay. But on level ground stuff. Okay, got it. Yeah, this house was built, what, like 1898 or something? Crazy. A lot of these homes in this particular area were built for one of the big, huge factories in and around Pittsburgh. Somebody just said that I think he said that factory, the old man that helped me with a little bit of this, he said at one point that factory housed something like 14,000 employees. Something like that. Crazy. Yeah, stone foundation. It's very old. 1898. Oh, the owner lived in the first floor. Ah, interesting. Yeah, there's definitely enough space. You could definitely split it into apartments if somebody decided to do that for sure. Yeah. So, here was the first project. So the first thing I did. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yep. Yeah, probably very similar design then. Very interesting. So the first thing I did was, this isn't showing a whole lot. So, all right. So here's what happened. The lower two boards were rotted out enough where I felt like I needed. This is called the rim joist. So when you have a like a porch like this, there's the most outer rim of the floor is called the rim joist, and these were 2 boards wide. So these were old 8x10s. Sorry, 2x8s, but they were true 8s. Most 2x8s now are like 7 and whatever they are, quarter or something like that. They're less. So I did put some spacers. Speaking of spacers, actually, the inspector said I need some steel spacers in here. So that's the only other thing I really have to do now is I got to go back in from the inside and put steel spacers in because the wood breaks down. I put in treated lumber. I kind of wondered about that. There was points where they had some mortar sticking up that the wood rested on mortar, which they probably put wood spacers in, slapped some mortar in there when the mortar dried. And when the wood started to degrade, it just rested on the mortar. But yeah, the inspector said just put some steel spacers in there. So that's what I'm going to do. I was cutting up an old brake, not a caliper, but a brake. I can't even think of it. My brain is too tired. But I was cutting up some old steel today to try to make some spacers. So Yeah, they're right. They're holding up all the way. That's correct. Yeah, there, and like I said, there's definitely several points here where the cement is holding it up. They did put some mortar in there, but yeah, it's just not. Yeah, they'll compress, and eventually it's just gonna get cockeyed, and it could throw this off, especially since there's so much space, you know. So anyway, I'm cutting up a old piece of metal and making spacers out of it, and I'll make sure to have a really nice amount of steel spacers going all around here. Anyway, so these two boards on this lower side were bad enough where I went and replaced them completely. About 10 inches of this side was bad, so I chopped off about 10 inches. And then what I did is I put the first board on, and I put a big long section. I put a brand new board on the inside of these two. Ran it about 6 feet back there. And so I screwed that to the inner board, and then I just staggered them. So I put the first one in, put the other one next to it, and screwed from the end, the side, and then I put the next layer on. I put this board on, I put this piece on, then I screwed into that, and screwed into this. Anyway, everything is like very tight in there, all interlocked with each other, and very, very strong. And then I had to start making all new bases. So this is, I don't know if this is the actual base. I can show you the bases later, but I started put the floor in, and then I had to build new bases for each one of these pillars. So that's what I had to do. Yeah, this is one of the bases I built. I basically just had to use 2x12s, and then this one I needed just a 1-inch board. The other ones I had to use two 2x boards. This one I'd probably compressed a little too much, and I couldn't get the roof up far enough, and it seemed to be pretty level, so I just let it go. It looks fine, and it was at the proper level, so I was fine with that. This pillar I did end up reinforcing. This was the only pillar that had the bottom, like probably foot of this pillar was just, these are just hollow pillars. They're 4 1x boards put together into a pillar, which sounds really like a bad idea, but it's been here probably 100 years or a little less. It's been fine so far. My brother said the same thing. He was a little weirded out the first time he came across one, but he was like, well, they've lasted this long. They can't be that bad. So what I did is I took treated lumber. I took a 2x4, a 2x4x8, cut it into 4 sections, so I used 2 feet sections. I cut a hole, and then I put 4 of those pieces there, and then I just screwed the heck out of all of them. So basically, you have this box, and then you have 4 of these reinforcement 2xs running up at least the first 2 feet, and then it's solid beyond that. Yeah, right. It's strong, right? Yeah, hopefully it's the same theory. Yeah, it's fine. They seem very solid. And you could tell if it's not solid. Like bad things are gonna happen, and you're gonna know. Things will start to give out, crack, whatever. But anyway, once everything kind of got together, they were seemed very, very solid. So I was happy with it. Anyway, so I reinforced that, and then we started going down the line. So I just basically had to, put some spacers in, tie everything together, make sure it's level. That was the piece that I cut out, and you can see part of the 2x4. But I mean, some of this was pretty punky at the bottom here, pretty rotted out. So I had to use a lot of painter's caulking, but I made sure the core of it, like I said, was pretty strong, and I put tons of screws in there just to keep everything tied together. Now, this is on the upper side. This board wasn't too bad. They had put some thin metal here to kind of help the top part of the board be a little stronger way back when they did it, but I just added some extra boards. It was usually the top like 1/2 inch or so that was a little dry rotted, but let me tell you what. Those boards were solid down in there, like very solid. The floor joists were extremely solid. So solid, as a matter of fact, that I had these, what I thought were a great idea, these decking screws that took a T20. Hey, Silverface, welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. How you doing? Gorgeous wood. Yeah, the wood turned out really great. I'm glad I got the tongue and groove, and I'm glad I put the like the decorative side up. So, thank you, Silver. Thank you so much. Welcome in. I'm doing great. Doing great. How you doing, Red Sheep? Welcome in as well. How you doing? We're talking about the Porch project I was off doing when I wasn't streaming. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a Torx bit. Yeah, T20 Torx bit. Well, I had these screws. Don't mind me, Silver, if you wanna give us a heads up about what you guys were playing, what you're doing. But I'm just kind of going through this project, so don't mind me. But yeah, I'd love to hear about what you guys were up to, and hope you had a good stream. And welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. And good to meet you, Red Sheep. Yeah, welcome. So, I had these T20 screws, and I went through about 25 Torx heads. Like driver bits. Gun blanc? Oh, nice. I hope that was fun. Hope you had a good time. Yeah, I went through so many Torx bits. I got to the point where I had to start screwing the holes first. Just a really bad combination of a very, very shallow screw head, and I tried the best bits I could get a hold of, at least that they sold at Home Depot, and I just burnt bits up like crazy. No, I wasn't. I actually went and bought like the better ones. I was using the best I could get. Yeah, just the head of the screw was very shallow. It didn't have a lot left, and it just burnt them up. So here's the other thing. In this process, I had just enough money within the budget to go get a impact driver. And I'm glad I did, because it would have been, I think, way worse if I didn't have the impact driver. Those things did not want to go in. These boards were very hard. Like I said, even after drilling out, my one bit would last maybe 10, 15 screws. It was bad. Oh well. Well, there's some new boards, and there's the old boards coming off. I just tore off and put back on as I went. The 82-year-old neighbor of mine, the old Italian man that lives catty-corner from me, came over and helped me quite a bit. He actually kept me going. It was extremely hot. It was, oh man, it was in the mid to upper 80s. I know that's not hot to maybe some of you, but to me it was very hot and stuffy. And for some of this tearing this off, all this old black soot and dirt. I was wearing my full mask because the dust just bothers me so bad. It was hot. It was hot. So, you remember the little door underneath the porch there? Yeah, well, this little door was all rotted out. It was bad. So I said, you know what? Let's, you see all the cobwebs? Looks like an old barn door. It was bad. So I went to town. I cleaned up the hinges, and I ended up making a brand new door, which I will show you here in a minute whenever I find it. Pipsky! Oh my goodness. Hot as hot. Yeah, you're right, Rosie. Pipsky, 62 months. My friend, thank you so much. You see my video 1,000 times. Maybe I will I will put that off, but thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Watch streak reset. Oh no, 3D. Why? Is it because I haven't streamed in so long? That's too bad. Sorry. Oh, I was gonna show you guys. Pipsky, I'm going through my project. You have no idea? Yeah, I have no idea either. Apparently so. Yeah. Yes. Oh well. Yes, now everyone has a chance. Yeah, project. Yeah, so one thing I was going to show you guys is one of the first projects I did with my new space is that I redid a sledgehammer. When I went to do this project, I I haven't really documented it in photos very well, but I had real trouble trying to get the roof track jacked up because I had never done it before. So my first order of business was to get a sledgehammer going. So I bought a new handle from Home Depot, and I took the old head, sanded it down, put some WD-40 on it, got it installed on there, and put a wedge in it, did all the things. Boy, she's looking nice and dandy. This was an old sledge head that I don't even know where I got it from. Look at that. Nice, shiny new blue. So I got a new sledge, but the problem is trying to get the board. So let me show you what I was working with. Sorry, I was getting rid of some stuff here, so don't mind the crap. So this is what I ended up doing. But I was trying to just pound these boards in to the ground, and for the life of me, I couldn't get it to work. This is me trying to use the car jack. My problem is I had too slack of an angle. I broke one of these boards, a 2x10 by 16. I broke one. Yeah. You starting to start it again? Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, enjoy. Yeah, let me know what you think. I saw that was out. Yes, it can cause some damage for sure. That's right. Well, I was trying to just pound it in. You know, my brother told me, well, take a 2x4, pound that in, and then this other board goes, like, slides with it, and then it'll help jack up the roof. But the problem was, all this ground right here is very rocky. It's right next to the street. It's very rocky, very not soft. Very hard ground, and there was no way that I was going to pound it into the ground. Yeah, exactly, Resi. So, at any rate, what ended up happening was I ended up having to cut a bunch off of this. I made it a lot shorter, and then I used the car jack. And at this angle, the car jack wouldn't work, but when I got it in a better angle, then I was able to jack the roof up that way. And I just went one section at a time, because I really didn't need to jack up all three at the same time. Yeah, +1, that's right. So that's what I did. I just jacked up one section of the floor at a time and redid all the bases. Redid the trim on this little one over here. Put all the new baseboards on. Oh man, that felt like it took forever. It did pretty much take forever. Oh, and new door. Ta-da! Yep, I took the old door was made out of the tongue and groove boards that they had probably done for the floor. So I did the same thing. I laid them on top, kept the same size, cut out a handle, bunch of painter's caulking. I made all new trim. I set my table saw at like a 30-some degree angle, or I think that's what it was, 35-degree angle, and then left it like an inch, or I don't know what it was. Anyway, made trim. Yeah, that's right. Quite the facelift. That's right. Old Perry got a facelift. So I did all that. There's the floor. There's what it looked like after just getting the lumber on. So I did new trim there. Did all new bases for these. And then, thank you, 3D. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a lot of work. Like I said, the old gentleman really did help a lot. He helped me, kept feeding me boards and helped me restack stuff. It was very, very helpful. So that was the floor, and then that was the door, and then I had to start getting ready for painting. So this was like one of the first steps. Painter's caulking. I went to town, man. I filled holes. I filled holes upon holes upon holes. I filled large cracks. I went to town. I was like, you know what? I don't want it to do this in another 5 years. And so I'm going to fill every nook and cranny. And I did. I went nuts. I filled a lot of holes. Let's see. What else can I show you here? Oh, I redid those handles that were on that one door. Made them nice and shiny. Or on that one little pillar there that you right here. These little handles. So redid those, made those nice and shiny. All right, so yeah, and there's just so much from this point on. I mean, the rest of this took like several weeks, but I started painting. We were gonna change the color anyways, so I was like, let's do it. So everything that was red, we turned to dark blue, and everything that was like that blue-gray, we turned to light blue. So let me start showing you what I did. So here's starting of the trim painting. Now, when I got onto the porch, what I realized is I got the dark blue done on the porch, and I was like, man, the face of this siding right around in and around the porch had been done before, had been painted before, and it was extremely dirty. The texture on the paint had caught a lot more dirt. We have a huge steel mill, you know, a couple 3 or 4 miles away, and then we have another aluminum plant down this valley. Aluminum processing plant. Anyway, so there's a lot of grit in the air. Over time builds up on your house, and it really built up on this old paint badly. So I started to paint. This is one of the first things I did after I got some of the porch trim done. Is like, man, I got to get this painted white. Any horror crack just got attacked in more places. Just feel like they're a problem. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Because yeah, you come back and you're like, oh, that looks terrible. You know, you spent all this time doing this one thing, and here it's just as bad. You know, it looks worse. You can just see all this. Like, this is after trying to wipe it off. You know, it's just, it left these pitted marks. It was just not nice. So I went to town and I painted the face in and around the porch. And that was a very good decision. I painted the old window there under the porch. That goes into that. This is me scraping the paint off the window. The window's very dirty. The other thing I started doing is I got this cement, like a textured epoxy, like caulking, and I put it in all the cracks of the old cement. Hey, Mitch, thank you so much. It's good to be back. How you doing? Showing pictures. Once again, guys, I'll make sure to put this whole highlight on, I'm going to do my best to put it on YouTube, so you guys will have this in case you missed some of it. Painter's caulking, expanding foam. I used a bunch of expanding foam. I started painting the floor now, the light blue. I got the floor painted light blue. Let me see. There's kind of initially how it started to look. Started to look pretty good. Thank you, Silver. Yes, go for it. By all means. Thank you again for the raid. Good to see you again. Give a mouse a cookie book? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so, Rosie. So then, this is my side door. You can see how bad it was. So, there was just so much to do. You can see all these cracks. This paint was bad. There was so much paint scraping. Look at this awning. This awning was terrible shape. The back one is worse. That's the one sitting in my garage right now where I have to actually redo the whole thing. You can see all the paint chipping on every one of these. There was so much more I could have done, but that was the big stuff, right? So I started painting, and this is what it looked like after like the first coat or two, and painter's caulking. I'd paint, and then I'd fill cracks. And I'd paint some more, and I'd fill more cracks. And, I'd paint this door, and then you could see I started filling the cracks, around the door. Filling all the cracks in the cement. Filling more cracks in the pillars. Climbing up here was a pain in the neck to paint all this. It was a lot of work. It was just hours and hours of painting. And then eventually, after I got the floor painted, I came back and put these trim pieces in because this was just, I didn't like these gaps, and they were just going to be a problem. So I put trim in there. Then at somewhere in the project, I was like, got talking to my wife, and I was like, I was gonna paint the cement block underneath the light blue, and then I was like, you know what? It's just gonna be too much light blue. So we matched some of the cement, and I started painting. We matched the color to the cement, or like the some of the color within this brick, and I started painting all of the block this color. It's kids' book. Oh, gotcha. Yes, got it. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yes, they do. Yep, never ending. That's exactly right. Yep. Well, so like, yeah, so I got all those cracks filled and all that, and I paint this, right? And then I start, I had noticed this is a stone facade that was put on the the house. So you see this big chunk of it gone out down here, and this crack, and then a bunch of the chinking is gone. Well, guess what I ended up doing? Filling all that in with mortar eventually. It was like that. It was just never ending. I painted all this, took the awning off, painted. There is the awning sitting in my garage. I'm not sure if that's the second. No, this is the first one because I painted it. This first one, I basically sanded down the best I could, and then I spray painted it with this like rust converter stuff that's supposed to like coat rusty surfaces and sort of like, keep the rust from bleeding through. It worked for the most part, but there's still little bits of rust that kind of pop through the paint. But it's doing pretty good, so I'm gonna leave it for now. But the back one I'm gonna have to definitely redo. But yeah, I got to this back wall, and there was a lot of mortar that I actually had to fix and replace, and I wasn't gonna paint over it, just leave it. There was a bunch of cracks and stuff here, and it was just, I had expanding foam sort of sticking out, and I had to like redo all of that, so there was a lot of mortar work. You see all this? I had sprayed expanding foam, so I had to go through here. The first batch of mortar I used was some older mortar, and it didn't work. It actually failed, and so I cracked open a new bag I had bought, and I had to redo it. I had to wash all the old stuff off and do the new stuff. So that was unfortunate, but we got it done. And then see, these are the windowsills. Just bad. The windows need to be done anyways, but these sills wouldn't be necessarily changed if you did a window. At least parts of some of these bits. So I stripped them off, all the old paint, lots of painter's caulking, lots of paint. Then this back step. This was always weird. We had this little wooden thing that was like, had a handle on it. Like they just built this little wooden step that was like 2 steps. It was very odd. You could just like take it off. And I don't know if they did that to get away from code. Like, I don't know what they did. I have no idea. But anyway, they had this wonky little wooden step. So I moved it and I redid first of all, the first step I did is I had painted up to here, and then I redid the back part. There was a bunch of gaps and holes, and I took mortar and remortared the whole back side, because this is probably what let some of the moisture into the basement. So at different times. So I made sure that was nice and sealed up. And then this is the back windows. Don't mind the curtains. They're kind of old and need replaced. But I got those done. I had to take storm windows out. Yeah, that's right, house. First of all, that's right. I felt like this whole house was like first of all. But yeah, just a lot of repairing and cleaning out. Just storm windows. Oh my goodness, these storm windows were a pain in the neck. The one we had to climb up was really precarious to get out. These are just pictures. There's me stripping the paint off those handles. Here's the other one. Look how bad this other one is. This is really bad. So the little tab is rusted right off. I'm going to probably have to cut new metal for this other awning. This awning's still sitting in my garage, and I'm just going to have to tackle it. You can take it apart. I just have to tackle like one section at a time. But there was all the blue done, finally. I got all the storm windows painted, all of them done, all the basement done, the railings done, the windows done, this awning done. The painting was pretty much like for the most part, done at this point. Now, where are we at here on the pictures? We're getting pretty darn close. All right, and then this was like the front of the house. The colors, they really did turn out nice. I really, really liked them. So we got all that done. We did that. We did this. We did the other. This is like the back of the house. Got all that done. All that painted. The storm window in. That storm window was like the last big thing that needed done. So we got that done. Obviously, the siding, needs painting, which we'll have to put off for another year. Probably next year. So then here, what I did is I fixed more of the mortar work. I put new mortar all around through here, through there, and then I put an actual brick step there. I measured it, made sure it was enough, as many inches as it should be, and blah, blah, blah. And I just put a brick step there. So this was my first step I've ever built out of brick. I was pretty proud of it. Then I fixed the side. The steps were all wonky, so I put new mortar on the face, and then on the top here I put mortar, and then I used a brush, got real fancy, and put texture there. So if you step off onto this one, you shouldn't slip in the wintertime. Unless it's solid ice, and then I can't really help that. But I added texture to it with a brush. I was proud of that. I was proud of that little touch. And that was that part. We did that. Yeah. Then it was on to the garage doors. Garage door painting. And I was very, very happy with how they turned out. They look good. By this point, I had learned a trick. And what I had learned is that, first of all, you don't try to paint these little ridges. That's the first thing you do. You just leave those alone, okay? And you go in here with the middle, which is what I was doing on this last picture, and you just go to town. You just slap paint on there as quick as you can, and don't you worry a thing about it. And you use a big old roller, you just slap it on there, man. And then you come back later with a little, like a smaller roller, and you just roll over this real nice, and it covers all the other up, and it's very easy. That's right, Rosie. But you see all these holes from all the old hardware? Yep, I had to cover all those holes, paint, repaint. There's the painter's caulking. Oh man, the amount of painter's caulking that this door took. Oh my word. It was awful. It was a lot. So, at some point in this process, right about here, my wife had to go away on a business trip. So, I had already planned. When I first started the project, I had planned to make a porch swing. And I was like, well, this is perfect. I wanted to surprise her anyways, and now she's going to be gone, so let's make a porch swing. So I stayed up late several days. I took the old... Couple interesting things happened, but hey, Schmelly, welcome in. Thanks so much for the raid. Welcome in, Schmelly. Never bought Good to see you, dude. You're going through pictures. Welcome, welcome. Hope you had a good stream. Let us know what you're up to. And good to see you, man. Yeah, I took a lot of old lumber. Just old... So basically, I followed a design I found on a porch swing on Lowe's, I think. Oh, Shmuley, thank you so much for the 57 months. Oh my goodness, that is freaking epic. Thank you, dude. Howdy. Howdy to you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, porch swing. So these were some logs my friend had given me. I had used it as a TV stand, and I had just taken that TV stand apart. And these logs were sitting there. I was like, you know what? I got to this point in the build, and I was like, those logs will be perfect. These are cedar. Very cool. It worked out very, very well. Yeah, I just had to, like, come up with it. I had to basically build this from scratch. I had a general idea from the design I saw on the one you could buy at Lowe's, but I had to come up with all this. I built it pretty much from scratch. It was a lot of work. It was very cool. And then I stained it. A cool blue stain. I didn't have enough of these boards to go all the way up, so I just put 1-inch boards at the top and bottom and then made them go halfway. Hey, no worries, Schmelly. Yeah, third. Yeah, no worries, dude. Hey, man, have a good one. Thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out. Even as much saying hi for the raid. Thank you. Yep, good to be back. Thank you, dude. Later. Have a good day at work. Yes, it was very much a surprise. I had to get my neighbor to take me to the store a couple times, which I kind of felt bad, but he seemed to be totally fine with it, so that was cool. And I way overbuilt the beams that I put in the roof and the ceiling of the garage. And there it is. I put these huge, like a 2x12 with like a 2x4. It's actually 4.5 inches, I think. It was a 2x10 split in half. And then a big old eye bolt through the middle. And then I used these big old lag screws that are really expensive. And then I used like super strong chain. And man, I went to town. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Welcome in. But yeah, I hadn't got it hung up yet. I was still working around that morning when she came back, but she didn't see it, and I just kept plugging away at it. We finally got it hung, and then we went and got her and like, come out and see the surprise. Excuse me. Yeah, right, Gress. Oh yeah, the kids love it. Yeah, we've been using it actually quite a bit. We all love it. I love it a lot. I sat out several nights. It was just so nice. So the evenings were just perfect for it. It swings really nice. I got to use some lubricant on it to get it to stop squeaking a little bit, but that's just normal. But yeah, it's. I was glad I talked to my friend though. He told me about, well, if you don't attach it to the back in some way, it can tip over backwards. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. So I had these other eye bolts. Excuse me. And so I just went ahead and attached these eye bolts to the frame, and then used another one of the little clips, quick clips, and attached it. And it's super stable. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's very, very stable. You can see it in this picture. These little clips back here, so that the chain mainly rests on these bolts down here, but then it grabs on so it doesn't just tip. It can't tip. It's nice. It's very, very nice. I was quite pleased. And then the last sort of thing that I had to do to kind of finish everything off. Oh, I did do a cool thing with the flag. I showed you guys the flag. It's right here. This one's a little brighter. I added a flag. So there was this flag, like pole holder or whatever. It was already here, and I was gonna take it off, but then I just went ahead and painted over it. And there was this old flagpole, and it was hanging up here in a really janky sort of way. And an old hole. They must have ran a flag like up and down, like ran it vertical. And so I took the flagpole down, and it was all bowed. It was wood, and it was bowed. So I took the torch to it, and I heated it up. I wet it down, heated it up, and bent it back. And I straightened it. I was surprised. Sanded it down, and then I burnt it a little bit with a torch to give it a nice look. And then I put some, boiled linseed oil on it, and it was great. Oh, thank you, Graz. Thank you very much for the kind words. Yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of work. Oh yeah, you could watch it. Absolutely. And you can like sit on the bench and like turn to the side and look out, down the hill. So you get a really nice view either way. If you look down through there, you can see the weather and the storms and stuff. And you can sit on the side and look back that way pretty easily, Yeah, Grizz, I get it. Not everybody's like cut out for that sort of thing, but sometimes it's a blessing and a curse when you know how to do stuff, Then the last major thing I did, which I did not get a good picture of it all done, is I took my side door off. And the problem is with this door, this is probably one of the projects I'm most proud of. This door, because it had a big window, when I took it off, it was very heavy. It was very solid. It's an old door. But because it has a big window in it, it's very flimsy. When you try to like open and shut it, it was sticky. It wasn't set in right. I've always had to slam it. The other knob ended up getting really bad off because you had to slam the thing hard so many times. It was just nasty. Oh, thank you, Mitch. No worries, dude. Thank you. House with a screen porch like that. That's awesome stuff there. Yeah, yeah. And we don't get bugs too bad, so I maybe not have to screen it in, but you know, maybe the really wet, humid summer, you potentially could get a little nasty, but there isn't too much standing water around us, so that helps. But yeah, we still get mosquitoes, so maybe some tiki torches or something to keep them away if they get bad. But yeah, it's very, very nice. The breeze comes through there. It's really, really nice. But yeah, this side door was just always a problem. It didn't shut well or open well. It was just terrible. Like it was not really secure. It just had one knob, you know, like the regular knob. It didn't have a deadbolt or anything. Just like a problem all the way around. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fix this stupid thing, and I'm gonna fix this stupid thing. That's all there is to it. So I did. I freaking fixed it. Dang it. I took these 2x10s and I just cut them to fit. And I just screwed 2x10s onto it. Then I cut a perfect, nice little square. I put a frame inside and a frame around. I cut all these pieces myself. Cut them all to fit. I put some cardboard in between the glass and the wood. And then I cut out, it was the first time I've ever done this. I cut out, measured everything as best I could. And I installed a deadbolt and a new lock. We bought us a couple sets of locks. We changed the back door. We had bought some cheap locks and they were just falling apart. It had been 3 or 4 years ago and they just, man, they fell apart bad. And so I had to get a new set for the back anyway. So I got a new set for the back and then I got this set. And I installed new locks. And I properly installed this deadbolt. And like I said, I basically just put like some corrugated cardboard between the window and this wood. And then like used painter's caulking and sealed up the inside there. And so basically we had this blanket hanging over the door because the door had so much air going through it. So now that there's like this extra set of wood on the other side of it, plus there's only a little window, plus I installed this plastic sealer. I did end up painting the door. I painted all the main wood dark blue, and then the little trim I painted light blue. I don't have a good picture of that yet. I did lose a lot of window space, yes, but I was always worried that somebody was just going to bust the window out, reach through, unlock the door. You know what I mean? Like everything about the door. It's a basement door too. Like it was the most unsecure thing in the whole freaking house. Like the front door had a deadbolt, the back door had a deadbolt. Nothing about the front or the back door was that way. Yeah, it was, and we don't live in the best of neighborhoods anyways. It was always just a problem. And yes, you do lose a lot of lighting, but it's a basement. We don't really use the lighting. You know what I mean? It's like not as important. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was definitely our weakest link. So, yeah, very highly lacking. So I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I've had it up to here. That's right. That's right. So this door, once I put that wood on there, I could barely lift it. I would imagine this door has to be 80 to 100 pounds. It's one of the heaviest things I've ever lifted. Oh yeah, like, so not only did I rebuild the outside of the door, okay, but I was like, this thing is gonna freaking shut like a dream. Yeah, strongest door in the state, that's right. Yeah, it's like a dungeon door. Yeah, that's right. Well, one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to eventually, I think I do want to take the basement and turn it into what looks like the inside of like an old medieval like house. and put like a little bit of a workbench and stuff, just a place I could like piddle around, maybe a little bit of like a workbench, and then just like put cupboards and stuff so I could, storage and stuff, but you could hide it all behind stuff where it would still look like you could almost turn it into like a little TV set. It would look like the inside of a medieval home. That would be my dream to do with the basement. But dude, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna take care of this thing. So on the inside, the part that you actually like it latches to, it was all messed up, and that's partly why the door closed so badly. Is because it was like they had tried to put spacers. Of course, this whole wall right here. Look at this wall. It's freaking 3 feet thick. This is a stone wall. Well, actually, this part is. I'm sorry. Down here is stone. This up here is still a wooden wall. This side is stone. Yeah, this side is stone. This side partially stone. The other part is wood. At any rate, and of course then the stone facade. But I was like, all right, what I'm going to do is on the inside here, I'm going to replace the board. So I did. I put, actually, I had, because a lot of this touches stone or gets real close to the stone foundation. So I put treated lumber. I used treated lumber. I put like 2 or 3 2x4s in there. I mean, I screwed the crap out of it. I tied it into the floor joist. I like overdid it. And then, and I could make it even stronger if I wanted to. And then I was able to, put the holes in for like the locks into those brand new boards. Because like I said, the old stuff was just this old piece of trim and this weird spacer. And it was never solid. Like nothing was in good wood. If somebody would have kicked it, even breathed in the door would have caved in. Like it was just not good. So the way it is now, I would be tempted to say even if you used one of those like those ramming rods, I don't know that you could open this with one of those. I don't know that you could. You're not breaking the door. You would have to drive a truck through the door. Second of all, the way the hinges are over here, the hinges are together. Like they're not on the back and on the back. You know what I mean? Like a lot of hinges these are like inside door hinges. So you'd have to like bust the wood out on that side, or you'd have to bust the wood out on this side. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know that they could bust it open. Yeah, no, let's not, Rosie. But I'm just saying, like, I'm very happy with how it is now. Let's just say that. I was so sick of it being it felt like a problem, and now it doesn't feel. And it shuts. Oh my word, does it shut? It just the weight of the door, I could just kind of like, boop, and it shuts like a dream. I was so proud of myself. I got the thing shutting like really, really well. So it shuts now, it opens now, it locks. Even when you shut it, I set it up perfectly to where when you shut it, you know how sometimes you have to push or pull on a door once you get the regular lock in place? You got to push or pull to get the deadlock to go through, right? And how annoying that is? I even got it perfect to where when it shuts, the deadlock is like perfect. Like absolute perfection. And I can take the blanket down now because I put up this rubber seal and made sure, like, there might be the slightest hint of daylight on the one little section, but I mean, it's as sealed as you could probably seal a door. Your back door's done. Isn't that annoying? I hate it. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, I lived with it for so long. I was just like, no more. Yeah. Oh, it is good now. Okay. Yes, like butter. That's right. So in our back door, actually, now that I installed the new locks, it's doing the same thing. It's really nice. But yeah, I was just like, I'm done with that. Well, ladies and gents, there's the house. The only thing that's really left to do is take care of this really, really, really badly rusted awning, which, like I said, I'll do, over some a period of time. And of course, like, also, I just said the inspector, I sent him some pictures and he's like, yeah, it needs some of the steel shims. So, I was cutting a rotor a car rotor, like a brake rotor. I was cutting a rotor earlier to use as shims because, as you can see here, the shims, at least on this lower side, the lower shim is almost 2 inches, so I needed a lot of steel. So I cut a rotor, like 4 chunks off of a rotor, and that gives me about the perfect amount. And then I got some other steel from, an old electrical box and stuff that once I can use single pieces and then use the thinner pieces of steel that I cut out to shim it all the way down. So I'll run several shims. I'll run one here, probably one here, and 2 each side of this corner because there is some cement here to hold the corner up, and then maybe put one right there. I'm not sure, and then run a few down through here. I have another rotor cut up too, so I should have enough to run down and around. But yeah, I'll steel shim it up real good, and should pass inspection. Shouldn't have any trouble. Wow, am I glad to be done with all that. Oh, that was what an ordeal. It was beautiful. It's nice to get it done. It was quite a journey. But the number of times, like I cannot tell you how many times I went back through, looked at, like, for instance, right now, those back windows on the back door, they still have some painter's caulking that has to be touched up. That's the other thing I have to do. But that kind of thing, where, you'd go through something and then you just see all these cracks and holes, and you're like, man, I can't leave. If I leave that, the ice is going to get in there. It's going to cause a problem, blah, blah, blah. And so, like, oh, you better caulk that. Then you do that. Then you're like, oh, now I got to touch it up. Then you touch that up. It's one thing after the other, man. And a couple more things written down. Oh, the other thing that I really probably should do, other than the awning, is around the upper side of the foundation. There's a sidewalk over on the upper side of the house. As I do have to run, I'm going to get some of that tar, like sealant tar, and I'm going to, somebody had already done that many times in the past, kind of built like a ramp of tar up against the foundation. So I'm going to run a fresh coat because it's got some cracks in it, and then let that dry and then paint it that same color because it's still kind of blue-gray up around the other side. You don't hardly see that side at all, but just to do it to match, and then that should pretty much be done. Inspection on the porch floor, and yeah, just that back awning. And then other than that, it's just waiting until next year pretty much to do the rest of the siding, paint the rest of the siding, and should be pretty good. Eventually down the road, as far as the external part of the house, we do need to A, replace some windows, and B, eventually get rid of the box gutters and put in good, proper, modern gutters that can actually take the water out like it should. And which at that point probably end up doing a new roof, but that's hopefully down the road quite a ways. But there we go. Our house, I feel, is much better and much more prepared for the winter, and looks about a bajillion times better. Like, I got so many compliments. People, have stopped and said this looks really nice, and that just makes you feel cool. Makes you feel really good. So there we are, ladies and gents. Here we are. Oh my word! What a journey.